Assembly Bill 67, also known as AB 67, is sponsored and composed by Attorney General Masto, who created this bill to modernize Nevada's current laws and make a difference for our children and women.
You know, when you think of human trafficking, you think about, well, the movie Taken and it happening some in the Middle East or in Europe, but it's happening right here in Las Vegas. And with me today to talk about it is Sarah Jane Vegas.
Hi.
And you are a former
Victim.
I was thinking of the right word. I was going to say abductee, but it's not necessarily true. And Amanda Gibson, who is the new reigning Miss Nevada, who has picked up this cause as an issue close to her heart. Let me start with you, Sarah Jane, because when I'm talking about, do you think this happens in some other place? That's not really the case.
No, it's not. We do believe, that a lot of time it's the young girls of Las Vegas or Nevada that are being trafficked here. I think the statistics were like 60% of the women who has been recovered, child who have been recovered, the girls were from Nevada. Yes, they were not from somewhere else.
And you have a personal story. Maybe we should get right into that.
Okay.
Okay. And you're French by birth,
I am French,
right?
Yes,
So
with a very heavy French accent.
You speak English very well.
Thank you.
But it's interesting they have a French girl last name Vegas.
Yes, I know.
Different story.
I know.
But okay, so what happened to you? How old were you?
I was 18 years old, between 18 to 19 years old. So what happened is that I left home very early because I fell in love with a guy who was a police officer, and I was studying to become a police officer. And I stayed with him, and because I had a background as a Christian, I felt like because I went with a man before being married, I felt so much guilt and shame that I didn't want to go back to my house even after he started being violent with me. So he was very jealous and possessive. I was not allowed to have friends, not allowed to dress like I wanted to. So he was not a trafficker, but he's the one who started to teach me how women, when you're with a man, you have to obey everything they want. If not, you get hurt. And after 4 years of being with him, to escape from him, I started dancing as in nightclubs because my neighbors were dancers, and they told me that I could make money and escape from my boyfriend. So I remember hiding my money in my jewelry box. So I choose to go into dancing in the nightclubs. But what happens is that you meet the wrong people when you go there. And a lot of time we have stereotyped that the trafficker is going to be, the guy with the chains, and you can see, it's traffickers, but it's not always true. The first one who tried to traffic me was a woman. She was a beautiful blonde lady. I was 17, 18 when I met her. And as a young girl, you want to become like her, she's so beautiful, she has everything together, she makes money, And I had experienced sexual abuse when I was younger, which is, of course, opened doors for me to end up in this kind of life. But I felt like when I was dancing, I was empowered, If something is going to be taken away from men in my life, it's easier for me if I give it.
So you had power over men being a dancer.
Yes, by dancing, and they were not allowed to touch me or anything like that. So I ended up being in her house, and I was supposed to have sex with some guys, and she changed my name and told me that I had to go with her in a brothel, legal brothel. So I went there, didn't even defend it myself that much because I felt I had no choice. And I felt guilty. I felt like maybe, this is my fault. And a lot of time we'd say, oh, why the girls you say they're trafficked? It's modern day slavery, but they don't have any chains physically. But, if a girl tried to say no when she was 6 years old, 7 years old, when she was abused, and nobody heard, nobody listened, it put chains in you that you don't have choice. So
These are emotional chains.
Emotional chains. So what happened is that for me in my head, I was like, it's gonna happen anyway, so I cannot defend myself. I don't want to be beat up again, So you just let it happen and you don't know anything else. I was too young for me to, and nobody came around me to tell me, I had choice. And to escape from her, a man entered my life, fell in love with him, and he groomed me for a few months. It was an amazing relationship.
This is not the man who ended
No, I had left him by dancing.
Right.
So I moved to Belgium with a girl that was dancing with. And when I was in her house, she's the one who started, trafficking me. And if you had asked me if I was being trafficked, I didn't even know it. I didn't even understood it. Even if now that I have the knowledge, I can tell you it was trafficking. But to escape from her, when a friend was in her house, told me that she wanted to use me. And I knew she was doing some stuff with drugs. So in my head, I'm like, maybe she just want to use me for drugs. And I had never heard about human trafficking. So I left with him, and I stayed with him for 8 months. So like I said, amazing relationship, never beat me up, never did anything wrong, was always here for me. And I thought it was love. And I was still a dancer, and I was dancing every weekend. My boss were a woman, an older woman in her 50s, and her husband. I say all these details because I want to break the stereotypes, you know? And what happened, they were like family for me, you know? It's like they know me, I'm not ashamed of...
You felt wanted, you felt welcomed, you felt loved, protected, safe.
Exactly.
Right.
And I knew that some traffickers were coming in a club I was dancing at, but I didn't really understood what a trafficker was. So the only thing, it was, you know, I was not allowed to give my phone number, not allowed to talk to the other girls. But I didn't understand that it was wrong, because my first boyfriend for 4 years was the exact same way with me. And what happened is that one day I went back home, and they told me, you take all your stuff, and they put me into a car. So after 8 months, okay, put me into a car, drive me to another country, and I was locked in a house, sexually abused, and they were gonna send me in another country again, and I escaped before that. So it took like a year of grooming, of being used, and until they kidnapped me. So I always say that I would have loved to be kidnapped from the beginning, you know, because it's even harder for me to see that we can be manipulated for so long.
So
like
kidnapping actually makes it more obvious to you about the situation that you're in, compared to just this manipulating emotionally.
Exactly.
But where were your parents through all this?
So I met my dad when I was 16. So I grew up with my dad, which opened doors to a lot of girls, you know, who are victim of human trafficking, or girls who never had a dad.
Right.
Not all of them, but it's happened a lot. So I knew my dad, but I didn't have a deep relationship with him. He's an amazing man, but of course, for 16 years I was without him. So.
But you lived with your mother?
My mom, yeah.
Okay.
But my mom was, she's an amazing woman, but she's a strong Christian. And I felt so much guilt, and I believe that God, because of my sin, you know, in my head, it was like God doesn't love me, and everything that happened to me, it's my fault. So I didn't want to go back to my mom's house because I felt guilty. It was not because of my mom, it was because of me and the fact that I've been raised in a very religious family. And now I'm a strong Christian, but at that time it was more religion than faith, you know? And religion made me feel like I would never be good enough, and if I'm being punished by God, which was totally false, but in my head it's what I thought, you know?
Right.
It makes sense.
Okay, and I'll come back to you in a minute, because I want to find out how you came to Las Vegas. But Amanda, you kind of, I'm guessing now, that you had the opposite childhood, that you grew up in a very loving, stable home where you were safe, didn't have any of these type experiences. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, you're right.
All right. So, okay. But you have a background in singing and dancing and acting, and then you decided to get into the pageant world. And well, why don't you tell me what happened, and how did you get interested in this issue?
Well, I did have a beautiful, loving childhood, but I moved to Los Angeles when I graduated college to be an actress, and that was an interesting choice. My parents weren't really in support of that.
You went to college for what? For something else?
I went to Boston University for hospitality.
Okay.
And so I had this dream in my heart that I wanted to pursue, but that ended me up in Los Angeles, kind of with no support and trying to make it on my own. So I actually saw some of the realities that Sarah Jane's talking about. Los Angeles can be an interesting place as well as Las Vegas. There's a lot of people in the entertainment industry that... Yeah,
I mean, it's the same type of thing. I mean, when you see all these movies about young girls moving to Los Angeles, become actresses, they get manipulated by, hey, I'm an agent, let me help you. And there's probably a lot of that there, right?
There's a lot of that. And so I was working in a bar restaurant, and I saw a lot of the things that Sarah Jane is actually talking about, not as an intense as she has experienced. And I wasn't personally a victim of any of it, but I am aware of the realities of that. And so I ended up meeting Sarah Jane here through a friend, and I just loved her heart, and I loved the mission, and I wanted to empower other women to know who they really are. So yeah, I was performing in Las Vegas, and I was
Well, you moved from LA to Las Vegas.
Yes, I was casting a show here.
Right.
And so I was performing that show at night, and it was wonderful. And during the day, I was doing a lot of volunteer work. And, you know, I wanted to reach out, and especially with young children, and do prevention. A lot of the things that Sarah Jane's talking about love, self-esteem, all these things that can put women in a situation where they're open to being a victim. I really wanted to seed into kids about how to establish healthy, firm foundations. So I was doing a lot of that work, and then I met Sarah Jane and was just taken by her and her story and her mission and her platform, and wanted to serve and wanted to help. So I was given this opportunity to be Miss Las Vegas, and Sarah Jane came up beside me and just loved me and helped me create my website, and just was an amazing woman and role model for me in my life. And then I was crowned Miss Nevada, and she was there. It was actually on her birthday.
Yes.
So that was just exciting for both of us. And now we're taking this platform, to Miss United States next week.
So you have a Miss United States pageant.
Yes.
Right. So when you think about that, what do you think your chances are?
I already know we won.
So you don't have to worry about Amanda's self-esteem, right?
I know. Exactly. This is good. This is good.
Healed.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to worry about that.
So Sarah Jane, okay, we left you in Europe.
Okay.
Okay. Then somehow you came to, coming to Las Vegas from, Europe is a big leap.
It is, yeah. Like, for me, the way I escaped trafficking, it's because of my faith, because I decided to cry out to God, and I found a way to escape. It was a total miracle.
But it's a different way of looking at your faith from
Yes,
what you used to have, which would seem to me to be guilt centered,
and shame.
And now it was different.
Yes.
Why?
So,
How?
because all this time I believe that when I was in it, I was like, God is not real, and if He is, is a God with mean, and if you're not good enough, He's gonna destroy you. It was my idea. It was totally false. But one day, before I escaped trafficking, 3 weeks before, I was in my bathroom, and my mom was praying for me a lot, and I felt it, and I really wanted to kill myself. But I felt like, what does that cost me to cry out to God?
Well, did your mother know that you were going through this?
She didn't know everything. She knew that I was going through a difficult time, but she didn't know what was going on, no.
And she was back in Paris, and
She was in the north, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I was calling her, but of course I was not telling her what was happening. But my mom is a strong woman of faith, and she felt things, and she was always praying for me. And what happened is that at that place, I felt like, what does that cost me to cry out to God? Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. And I cried to God, and I say, if your will, save me. And the 3 weeks we followed, it's when I escaped the house. I was locked in the house, and almost no clothes on, They had put underwear on me. I'm in Belgium, where they don't speak my language. The house is locked. No way for me to escape. But I tested Jesus. I didn't really know, and I say, if you will, you're the only one who can save me and help me escape. And by miracle, I escaped from there. Something too, that when I escaped, the police found me, but they were not speaking my language. And I saw a police officer in a club where I was, the same place where I got locked, okay? And my first boyfriend was in the police.
Right.
So for me,
so they represented something else to you.
It's like, instead of feeling, I'm being rescued, I didn't know,
Right,
and the proof is that when they found me, no translator, nothing to
Assist you.
no, and didn't even put clothes on me. So it was very, difficult for me. And when I ended up being at the hospital, I tried to kill myself, because I heard stories that the traffickers told me that girls got killed because they gave their phone numbers. It's why I was not allowed to give my phone number. Here, I escaped from the place.
Right.
So in my head, it was like, no way I will be able to survive, and they will kill my family, because it's how, the fear that you have inside. And so I tried to kill myself, and praise God, I survived, because they heard. But no investigation. The police didn't do any investigation. Just my mom found me. She, took me back home. And from there, I started going back to church. I started, having my own experience with God and realizing that God was real for me. And after a while, I went to Bible school in Paris. And I had nothing. I went by faith. We call that. And I felt like God was telling me, okay, you're supposed to go to Vegas. And I'm like, on my prayer time, and I'm like, going to Vegas, I don't think it's, no way, you know, I couldn't speak a word of English. I didn't have any finances, no visa, okay? And I'm like, where am I going to go? And I met a pastor from Vegas, and I started praying, and by faith, 3 years ago, I moved here with 2 suitcases, couldn't speak a word of English, just a vision that I was supposed to help combat human trafficking, and it's how I ended up here. And I've been involved now with the Human Trafficking Task Force. I was with the Attorney General, helping, you know, for the new bill, AB 67. I was with the governor when he signed.
What does that bill say?
So what happened is that now it establishes human trafficking as a crime in the state of Nevada.
It wasn't a crime until this law passed? Wow.
And what happened is that now anyone under the age of 18 cannot be consent on you know, selling themselves, so like to exchange sex for money or anything of value. That means any girls who is under 18 who works in prostitution is a human trafficking victim. And
even if it's consensual, because the law says
yes.
you're unable to give consent if you're under 18.
Yes, yes, exactly. And now the penalties are like they must register as a sex offender for life. Mandatory term of 5 years to life in prison if the victim is at least 16 years old but less than 18 years old. Mandatory term of 10 years to life in prison if the victim is at least 14 years old but less than 16 years old. And mandatory term of 15 years to life in prison if the victim is under 14 years old, and a fine up to $50,000.
So it's kind of like a statutory rape situation where the young girls protects young women from being manipulated.
Exactly.
In essence, we have a quick video I'd like to show with you.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, I guess the message of that video, Amanda, is that, hey, nobody's immune from this. This can happen to anybody. It doesn't, you know. I mean, look, you're a beautiful woman. I mean, you wouldn't expect, I mean, when you think who's being, you know, trafficked, I mean, you think of girls, you know, they're, you know, with missing teeth and, you know, there's drug addicts and, you know, I mean, you don't expect them to look like you. And Stand for Justice is what?
Yeah, so Stand for Justice is, Sarah Jane's the founder of that movement. And I actually feel very patriotic about this movement because I do believe it's a movement that was founded upon the same principles our nation was founded upon, which is liberty and justice. So it's about awareness, education, outreach. Just like Sarah Jane said, it's like knowledge is power. And so I want to use my voice to help bring awareness to what's going on and educate people. So.
Now, I got to ask you this question because it's very confusing to me. When you talk about Miss World and Miss Universe, what are the differences?
Sure. So there are 3 pageant systems. There is Miss United States, which is part of the Miss World system.
Right.
And their motto is beauty with a purpose. So it's very volunteer-centered.
So it's a lot of beauty with a purpose. So
yes.
it's more the beauty being internal.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But all the women are beautiful on the outside too.
Right, and Miss Universe is more.
So then Miss USA
external.
is Donald Trump's pageant,
Right.
and it comes with a modeling contract, and you go on to Miss Universe,
Trump thing.
swimwear.
Yeah.
So they're definitely different. And then there's Miss America, which seems to be more scholastic based and about getting college scholarships and so forth.
Right. So when you decide to go into the pageant world, is it less from a perspective of, hey, I want to be discovered, I have this talent, and I want to have a platform? Is it less that and more of, hey, I'm passionate about, these causes, and I want to get, a publicity for them?
Right. For me, that's how it happened. I never had any ambition to be in a pageant. It never even occurred to me. It really is pure heart for me. I feel so passionate about what Sarah Jane's doing and spreading this message to women about being strong and confident and being educated. So yeah, for me, that's what it's about. It's about being a strong, confident woman and using your voice to do good.
Yeah. Why are we rolling this? We have plenty of time, right? No? How much time do I have? 6 minutes. Thank you. I'm not good at reading these signals at all. But okay, so now it's a remarkable thing for you to leave a country and come to an entirely different country. You don't even speak the language, and trying to create, and support a cause. I mean, it's remarkable that you did it. You speak English really well after just 3 years. But I have to ask you, in Las Vegas, we have something else called Destiny House. And how does that work with this whole human trafficking issue?
Yeah, that's great. So Destiny House was founded by Annie Lobert, and it's a safe house in Las Vegas, the only safe house in Las Vegas, that is helping women who want to escape the industry, and you have a new life. It's a free program. There's already been graduates. So it's a beautiful estate that's established on 2 acres of lush landscape, and it's giving women another chance. The purpose of Destiny House is they really believe that this is a place where each woman can dream, discover, and develop herself and be given a chance at a new life and to fulfill her true destiny, not only to overcome her past, but also to be a strong, powerful woman who's capable of making great positive changes in her community and within herself.
And is there like a full-time staff there, or
there is
volunteers?
There's volunteers, a lot of volunteers, yes. They need a lot of support too, so you can go on the website at hookersforjesus.net.
Hookers for Jesus. How did we get that? How did we get that website?
So and then like to hook, them, like yes. It's not
Play on words.
Exactly.
Okay.
The Destiny House is really needed. I mean, we have a lot of time when I work with girls. I want to come out. There is nowhere to put them. They have no place to go. If they leave their pimp, they have no money. Some of them don't even. The papers got stolen from them, or they have no education. I have a friend, like one of the girls I've been helping. She's 42 years old. Was trafficked since she was 12 in Las Vegas. Okay, wow. It's the only thing she knows. She only got her paper back last year. Doesn't have a GED. Even to clean a house, you need a GED. And so we need houses where they can have time to rebuild their lives. And there is a lot of trauma, so they need healing, they need counseling. You cannot just say, okay, we took you out and now you're gonna be okay. No, they need medical support. Sometimes they never saw a doctor.
Right.
It's very damages what's going on the streets. So you cannot just expect her to go find a job, an apartment, and start everything new by herself. She needs houses.
But how do you locate these girls?
So what I do is I go into legal brothels, I go on the streets, I go in strip clubs. With Annie, I went 2 times in the porn conventions, Annie Lobert from the Destiny House. So yeah, the porn conventions, everywhere when you have sex, the sex industry.
So is that awkward when you go to a porn convention and somebody, you see like 2 women that look like you walking in?
Hookers for Jesus.
Yes. So they're really receptive. I mean, they're happy to see us. And when we say we're here, do you know about human trafficking? Do you know that there is help? They're all going to say, oh yeah, I have a friend who's being trafficked. Oh, it's unbelievable how big it is here. I mean, everywhere you go, you know that there is trafficking.
So you say you go on the street. Like, let's say, would you walk down like Fremont Street, and would you be able to identify a potential person who's been trafficked?
Sometimes it's difficult because the girls like to wear very short things, so we don't always know. But usually you can see when you see a girl, at the machine, the gambling machine, and she's sitting there and looking around, and you know that there is a guy not far from her, who is looking at heavy moves that she does, that we call that a pimp. And there is, yeah, you see them walking. We know how to recognize them. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And has anybody been arrested under this new law that just took effect, right, this year?
I'm sure they did. It was but I don't know everything. Yes, I'm sure if you go online, you can see more information.
Right.
There is a group here named Congo Justice.
Congo?
Yes, like the country Congo.
Right.
Because they studied, there, but now they're working in Las Vegas, and they have a website, and they're really good. I mean, they have a lot of information about the bills, about what's going on, and you can also contact them for that.
Okay. So, all right. So, if people want more information about this, there's the Destiny House, and that has a website, I assume.
Hookersforjesus.net.
That's the hookersforjesus.net.
Yes.
Yes. You can learn more about Destiny's House, and you can also donate.
And your pageant is in Washington, D.C.?
It is, Washington, D.C.
Is it on TV?
It's going to be. They're actually, they haven't let us know what network it's on yet. So that's kind of the big reveal. So it will be on TV, though. You can stay tuned. It'll be on my website, missamandagibson.com. We'll announce it.
Okay, missamandagibson.com.
Yes.
See, if you ever get married, you got to change your website.
I know. It's true.
Yeah, and change the title as well.
Yes.
Well, it's been a delight meeting both of you.
Thank you so much.
Sarah Jane, you have an incredible story, and wish you much success here. And Amanda, good luck. Nevada will be rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We like to have women with your stature representing our state.
Thank you very much. It's an
honor. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Time can change many things, but what doesn't change is our commitment to serve you.
So if you've been injured in an accident, or if you need help in your Social Security or workers' comp case, we can get you the best possible result.
Enough said. Call Ed. EdBernstein.com.